Hey, what's up, everybody? So I have two different setups here that allow you to basically carve away any kind of lines or geometry. And one way here, which is a little bit more advanced, you get controllers that you can animate and adjust to your heart's content here. Or you can do it this way, where you basically you set up the randomization and you can carve all of them away at one time. So let me just walk you through how to set this up. Let's drop a new geometry. Let's drop a line sop. Okay, let's drop a copy transform. Okay, let's make some copies here. Let's just do 4, and we're gonna translate them and just move them offset. Great. First thing we need to do is create an attribute randomize, and so this one will be the setup where you can carve everything with random values set before the for loop. So we're going to set this to 2 dimensions. We're going to set this to be Carve as our ID, our detail attribute, and we're going to set our min and max, so 0.1, let's go 6, and 0.3, and 1 is fine. Okay, great. Now we need our for loop for each primitive. Okay, so we're just grabbing all of our primitive. Okay, and inside of here, we're going to create a carve. Carve, there we go. And the last thing that we need here is a meta import node, and that way we get our iteration here. Okay, now the first thing we need to do here is we need to drive the seed value by the iteration. So let's grab here, go into detail, and // and this is going to be for each begin metadata, and the value that we want is iteration and 0. Okay, great. So now this gives us a seed based on the iteration, basically just changes it per carve. Now, the next thing that we need to do is to adjust our first U and second U. And we're going to do that again using the detail attribute that we created up above. So if we go attribute randomize and we set this to carve, and our attribute index, which I'll show you in a second, we're going to copy that and paste this here, set this to 1. The attribute index is basically you're creating this attribute and it's storing this array of numbers as an index. And so this is index 0, 1, 2, and 3. So we have 2 dimensions. We got these 2 and these 2. And we're calling those attributes here. And the last thing we do is just set up another carve. And that carve now will carve everything away based off the random values that you had set up here. Now, this next version gives you more finite control over each one of the lines, which I suppose you could do beforehand, but let's set this up anyways. It's kind of fun. It's a great little trick, and we can bypass that. We no longer need that. What we do need is to we're going to delete these channels. Control click, and let's delete this. Okay, great. So we have our carve. And what we need to set up is a perm wrangle, and we need to get our iteration here, and we can do this. We're going to set up a integer value called, let's go curve ID equals, let's go detail // meta, no, it's for each begin to metadata 1. Basically just copying the name of that metadata node there, and we want the iteration and 0. Great. And we want to add 1 here. Okay. Great. And so that should give us, that's the curve ID, and we want this to run over primitives 3 and 4. Curve ID, iteration. Let's just make sure that this is evaluating properly. Getting our curve ID. Oh, right. Not HScript, which I've done too many times now. And we go iteration 0. And so now that's grabbing. There we go. Curve ID. Perfect. And we're going to add 1 here. Okay, and we're going to build a controller. So let's call this controller. Okay, and let's edit our parameter interface. Now we're going to create a folder, and instead of creating individual controllers for each one of them, like dropping multiple floats here, we can use this folder and switch this to a multi-parm block list. Okay, so let's just go Carve. Great. And let's make sure that that's, apparently it's not showing up, so let's try that again. Carve. And this multi-parm, okay, apply. And we're going to need our 2 values here. So start and 2 float values. First one, start. Great. And this one's going to be end. Great. Apply. Now notice how in this name, it gives us this number here, okay? So what this does is it creates a start and end for us, okay? And what we're going to do is feed this carve. Actually, no. I don't even know if we need the for each on this, because what we could do is we can iterate. Well, let me build it this way first. So this wrangle, we need to get this data and turn it into attributes that we're going to use to carve with. So float at start u equals channel, and this is going to be controller and start. Okay, and we need to take our integer value from the curve ID, so I2A, and convert it into a string, so that way it's not adding to it. And so I at curve ID and double bracket. Okay, copy, paste, and we're going to change the names end, and let's change this to end. Let's see. Oh, right. We have to add this here. Okay, there we go. Now we're adding. So now in this, what you should see, we need to run this over primitives. And over our primitive, you'll see curve start end. Great. And so if we 3, 4, we can just keep adding them. Start, end. Okay. Let's just make sure that we have the names set up here properly. So carve, we don't need that. Controller, yes. Controller, start u, end u. Controller, start. Curve does help to spell correctly, so ID. Great, there we go. And you can see the values populated there. So now when we drop a carve, and we check this and we go not by scale, by attribute, go start U, end U. Now we have individual controllers for each one of our lines. And that is it. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, I don't know if we need to actually do this entire thing here. I think we can actually just go, let's go prim. Let's undo that. Let's just take this guy and delete the loop because I don't think we need it. Let's drop this here and bring this down. Okay. Don't need the randomize. This is going to be equals. We're not using detail. We're going to just go use our prim num plus 1. Okay, there you go. Much easier. No loops needed. Let's reduce the amount of nodes that we have here. So basically, set prim ID, and this is going to be set carve attribs. There you go. And now you have this controller, and that controller drives all of these. And you can, depending on how many lines you have, you can now add, what do we have? 8 more of those. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we can just begin to add values here. And sometimes this thing needs to repopulate first. Oh, I see. So it's not reading it here, which it should be. And sometimes this thing, there it goes, it evaluates. I'm not sure why it does that, it kind of bugs out like that. But there you go. Now it creates the individual links and the controllers, and you can set these to be whatever you want. All right, that's it for today. I hope this helps somebody out. If you need to carve away some things and set up some randomized values that help you sort of make things awesome in Houdini. All right, guys. See ya.